Gagtopia. So I've been on YouTube 10 years. 10? No. 10. Yes, almost 10. In January, I believe. And people like to gag your YouTubes. It's a normal, regular thing about YouTube. Even really talented people who make beautiful music will like try to gag it from YouTube because they want it to be top secret. I have a lot of things to talk about on YouTube that I haven't got to yet. Like I could summarize this incident, I could tell a lot of stories. And some of them would have information. Yeah, very important stories I have to tell. I even have some things that are sort of comedy related or comedic in terms of, I say, can you say cultural appropriation of a male privilege? If yeah. So, women who are assaulted are never supposed to enjoy their sexuality. That's a pet peeve of mine, among others. So, if I'm an activist about anti violence against women, I have sort of a series that I'm waiting to release. Kind of, I can't wait. I can't wait till I get the guts. I'm waiting. Like, guts, where are you, Sisu? It takes a lot of guts to be a blogger and face the gags, the gagging people. But I feel like their gags are cries for help because it's like, oh, well, what country were you voting for? Or like, I'm like, everything I need to know about YouTube, I learned in my Stalinist Russia literature class. I'm like, well, if I'm not allowed to talk about this, and then the whole thing of like, you're going to be gagged, so then you make a duplicate, and then you save a file, and then you back it up on a hard drive, and then you create an alternate account, and then it's like, I deleted the most lovely videos of this gorgeous, gorgeous, beautiful Swedish man who explained that he needed to clean up his web trail for his job. And all it was were like silly little fashion interview bloggy, like mostly it was just like 95% about, oh my god, he's so good looking and stylish. And so I kind of felt that, well, there's no super serious concern. It's not like this is pivotal. I buckled, and I did think it was rather sexist of him to want to just stomp on me a little bit. Tommy Lagestam. But he's got his own, like, it gets better video. And asking if it was sexist, I mean, does he gag men or just women? Or, like, do female filmmakers get as much respect? Or is this just a part of the harassment we are talking about? That this is just, oh, and furthermore, not only do you not have the right to object to my sexual harassment, you don't have the right to talk about my presumption that you don't have a right to object to my sexual harassment. But I'm getting the picture. These men are crazy, and they don't take no for an answer, and they are not polite, they're not civilized, they're not cultured. Ruth Balsey Stevens, my great-grandmother, would not approve. She would kick them off into the gutter, like she did great-grandpa. I got a feeling she might have been a bit of a, I don't know, did the Victorian era, or suffragette. She was possibly a suffragette. Yeah, so I guess what can one talk about on YouTube these days, since the YouTube patrol is out there to gag? So it's like the side swiping of the breast. The side swiping of the breast. Can we just make that into a dance? See, that's the brilliance of Soviet ballet, is that everything that they could not say in written words before YouTube, anywhere, they could say in dance. rights. And that is why the dancer is the most liberated person in a culturally repressive society. And I had this deep, profound realization about that, partially inspired from the backlash Tom York got for dancing to his Lotus video. But it was during the Arab Spring that was happening. And it was just like, I kept having this thought that the dancer is the most powerful person in society, but they're so disregarded. They're like nothing. They're almost like worse than sports players in terms of intellectual respect or prestige, but they are possibly the most powerful, the most long enduring, and the most what's the revelation. And then I think I pushed myself to begin dancing on stupid YouTubes. And it was terrible because I'm not totally thrilled at my body type at all times, and I'm not classically trained. I'm kind of clumsy. But I felt that that form of expression was something I should nourish, and it's something my dear grandparents, Ransom and Helen Eng, fostered, or Helen Stevens Eng. I was having flashback to when Vonda Reeves, this fabulous guy I met in Beverly Hills, was like, it was like, you're not from a good family. And I'm like, are you sure? It's like, perhaps my family's so good we don't speak of it. No. But I mean, I would consider him nouveau riche. But I mean, what's good? Would you have to be important in the 12th century? I think we got a king in the 3rd. We've got Finnish royalty in the 3rd century, according to Genie.com. Some minor earls or something somewhere. And the unspeakable, infuriating. Oh, I outed them. I actually did. I outed them. I outed him. I've been reading about his biography, though. Mr. Stevens. Alexander Stevens. It was this great tragedy of my childhood, actually. And there's a self-gagging that's going on there, always. Because I was raised to be anti-racist. And raised in a black neighborhood, like I was super happy with that. And when I went up to the Multnomah County Commissioners meeting and spoke about that, I think what it was Ben Affleck. I wanted to be manlier than Ben Affleck. If he was going to be such a coward about his Confederate ancestors, I was not. It's still dodgy. Like, I've heard a few different things. I've heard, oh, he wasn't really gay, or, oh, he actually had a secret black family. And then I've heard whatever. I was always told he was the great uncle. The childless great uncle. It really doesn't matter, does it? It almost doesn't matter, except, I mean, the most compelling story I saw was the woman who was, oh my God, her mother was black, and her father was a former Nazi. And she writes a book about growing up. I think she grew up in Germany. And it's about her mixed cultural identity and her complete rejection of her father's criminality, racism, ideology, collaboration. So, being the good German, right? Gagging the YouTube about the endangering of the disabled is a part of continuing the endangering of the disabled. So the whistleblowing about the endangering of the disabled is what should be the First Amendment issue. the nexus of money and speech. He gains a city salary with which he purchases internet access to try to gag me. I do not gain a city salary, but I gain deprivation of liberty, entrapment, pinning down, sexual assault, aggravated aspect of the crime being the intention of emotional distress that I would receive herpes. But good old grandfather, who's ever my inspiration, documented when his wife received a harassing call. You never know. You could be treated to like the Skripal. You could get the Skripal treatment. You don't know. You document. And God, I love the Swedish bamboozer concept. They really got me into recording my whole life. And sometimes you can record the things that are upsetting and bizarre and wrong, such as the abuse. Like there was one instance when my cohort, my colleague, was becoming weird and like threatening to hex my computers. I went back and watched that and I was like, wasn't that handy that I just happened to have a laptop and just kept a QuickTime open because I'm like, oh my gosh, he's having an episode. So that's online. And I don't think that should actually ever be censored. I don't think it should be gagged. Because he's the one doing the threatening, and I was the one in danger. I don't know. If I could do it all again, I would have had a body cam. I would have had like no, I'm cheesing. But I don't know. There's so evidently there's a report in the sort of the masculinist backlash to Me Too that, oh, it's impossible to date. Women are just going to accuse us of doing bad things. So make sure your bedroom's equipped with cameras. And then that leads to all kinds of other problems, right? Like revenge porn or whatever. And so, or blackmail or pornography without permission. Anais Nin, God, once again, she comes into my mind because she said it all. She exposed it all. And I think one really has to possibly do it in journals and wait 30 years. I think that's how they used to do it, like Virginia Woolf and whatnot. But she killed herself. She was sexually assaulted by her own brother, I recall, and suicidal in consequence. And these assaulters need to actually admit there are consequences to their actions and not keep suppressing us, gagging us, intimidating us. I heard a sexual assault defense strategy from a woman who I believe was abducted and is riding in a car to who knows where. She's able to brilliantly convince these abductors that she's just really game. Like, oh yeah, and let's just stop and get some beers at the gas station. And when she's there, she's able to get the gas station attendant to call the police because she's in danger, because she's being kidnapped. And that's brilliant. But these creepy and violent men don't understand how complexly we are thinking about their actions and our response. I mean, I think some of the smart ones do. I think the smart, respectful ones think, is this consent or is this consent quasi-consent because of fear inducement or traumatic flashback? If you get someone to the point that they're in a traumatic flashback, they could be in a state of frozen paralysis. Men need to talk about these things, I think, if they do consent training. But I have a feeling they will just go on being barbarians and trying to gag YouTubes of their attack victims. One way I try to explain it to people who object to my hyperdisclosivity is that, oh no, my entire life will be filmed. So kind of just like Andy Warhol did. It's just like interminably boring but protective. It's security in its own way. But I don't think that's really exactly so possible. So gag away, all you anti-American, the gagistocracy or whatever.